You know, I'd leave him if he wasn't so damn dependable, she said. And then they laughed. Both of them. I was standing in the hallway. Her Bluetooth speaker was still connected to the bathroom. She probably didn't realize it was echoing through the living room while she FaceTimed whoever he was. I stood there like an idiot, holding a mug of mint tea I made for her sore throat. She hadn't been feeling well. She said she just needed a hot bath and quiet. Instead, I got a front row seat to a performance I wasn't invited to. I swear, the man plans our nights like he's booking a dentist appointment. Lights off, 10 p.m. sharp, like a little robot husband. No passion, just sighs and socks. More laughing. A second voice, definitely male, said something I couldn't hear, and then her voice came back, louder. Oh, please. I fake it before he even touches me. That mug slipped, cracked right on the hardwood. She didn't hear it. She was too busy giggling. I didn't storm in. I didn't shout. I backed away like I'd just seen a ghost. My own wife, Liv, in surround sound, describing me like some flavorless dinner she regretted ordering. Later that night, she came out of the bathroom with that fake cough she does when she wants sympathy. I was sitting on the couch, staring at nothing, and she plopped down like the world owed her comfort. I don't feel good, she murmured. I didn't reply. She picked at the edge of a pillow. Then, like it was nothing, she mumbled. Nights with you are boring. I don't want to be touched anymore. Let's just not pretend. Not pretend. I had spent years pretending I was enough for her. That my effort mattered. That her random coldness was stress, or hormones, or maybe me being too sensitive. I stood up. I didn't yell. I didn't even cry. I just said it. Your food is disgusting. So no more money. She blinked. What the hell does that mean? It means if we're cutting off things that feel bad, I'm cutting off paying for your nonsense. Her mouth opened, closed. For once, she didn't have a comeback. But that was just the first domino. Because the real secret, the one that blew this marriage up, wasn't in the speaker. It was in her car. The next morning, I couldn't even look at her. She acted like nothing happened. She hummed while brushing her hair, left a trail of perfumed fog in the hallway, and even had the nerve to kiss me on the cheek before leaving for her yoga session. I sat on the edge of the bed, listening to her car start, thinking about what I heard the night before. Those words, that giggle, the casual cruelty in her voice. And yet, there she was, smiling like she hadn't just gutted me with a phone call she didn't know I overheard. I didn't plan on checking her car. It wasn't some master plan. I just wanted to get some space. But when I stepped outside to breathe, I noticed her driver's side door didn't beep when she walked away. She forgot to lock it. I swear, I stood there for a full minute debating if I'd become that guy, the paranoid husband checking glove boxes like a detective in a bad Netflix show. But something inside me snapped. Not anger. Not even jealousy. Just exhaustion. I opened the door and saw her gym bag still sitting on the passenger seat. Same brand, same fake, active lifestyle vibe. But it wasn't the bag that hit me. It was the envelope sticking out beneath it. A white business envelope with a thick edge, like it had been stuffed hastily. I pulled it free. It was unsealed. Inside were 2 concert tickets for a band I introduced her to last year. Our anniversary night playlist. The concert date? Next weekend. The ticket names? Hers and Cody. Cody. That was the name she once mentioned in passing. He's just a guy from the gym, chill. Cody who helped her lift. Cody who apparently also helped her rewrite history and turn our song into their night. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat there in her driver's seat, gripping that envelope until it wrinkled. She hadn't even bothered hiding it well. That's how little she thought of me now. I checked the bag. I know I shouldn't have, but I did. Protein bar wrappers, an extra phone charger, her wallet, and a receipt. A dinner receipt from 3 nights ago. 2 entrees, 2 cocktails, a dessert. Time stamped 8:37 p.m. The same night she told me she was too tired for anything but soup. The waiter's name on the receipt was printed at the bottom. Hope you two enjoyed your evening, it said, in Sharpie, with a stupid smiley face. I wasn't just boring to her. I was background noise. I was the safe option she settled for. And now she was editing me out of her life, one lie at a time. But if she thought I was just going to fade into the wallpaper and fund her little affair, she was about to find out how boring I really wasn't. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Something inside me knew better. I'd spent years being the patient one, the understanding partner, the doormat who always assumed the best. This time, I wanted facts. No accusations, No shouting. Just quiet, ugly truth in high definition. So I made dinner that night, her favorite, again, and smiled like nothing had changed. She thanked me with that distracted voice she uses when her mind is somewhere else, somewhere sweaty and smug, probably named Cody. She left her phone on the counter when she went to take a call in the bedroom. I wasn't going to snoop, I swear. But then I remembered something. She once asked me to fix her iCloud settings because she didn't know how to manage photo backups. I set it up myself on our shared iMac. Back then, it was trust. Now, it was survival. While she laughed behind the closed door, I sat at that desktop and opened the Photos app. My hand trembled when the albums loaded. I clicked Recents. At first, nothing too strange. Gym mirror selfies. Food pics. A latte. Then, buried between random shots, came the poison. A blurred photo of a hotel hallway. Another of her reflection in a full-length mirror, wearing a dress I'd never seen. A third, from a high angle. 2 wine glasses, one hand visible in the frame, definitely not hers. I zoomed in. The man's hand wore a red silicone wristband, just like the one Cody wears in his Instagram gym posts. I should have closed the app. I should have walked away. But I kept digging. In her hidden album, because apparently she thinks she's subtle, I found screenshots. One of our bank account balance. Another of a PayPal confirmation to a luxury spa. One more that made my blood go cold. A screenshot of an email chain titled Emergency Divorce Prep, Financial Outline. She wasn't just cheating. She was planning to leave. And she was going to do it after gutting my accounts and leaving me blindsided. All while I was still folding her laundry and making mint tea. When she walked back into the kitchen, I'd already wiped the computer history clean and shut it down. She smiled and asked if we could watch something light tonight. I nodded. I even laughed. But inside, something new had started growing. Something I hadn't felt in years. Not rage. Not despair. Clarity. She didn't know I had already started moving money. The hardest part wasn't the lies. It wasn't the photos or the receipts or even the hotel room selfies she forgot to delete. The hardest part was pretending to be her husband after knowing she was already packing up a version of her life that didn't include me. But I played my part. I kissed her cheek. I made breakfast. I kept refilling the fridge with her favorite almond creamer like everything was normal. Because when someone tries to blindside you, the worst thing you can do is flinch. She started texting more, laughing at nothing during dinner, disappearing for errands that lasted 3 hours. She told me she had booked a weekend retreat for mental clarity and asked if I could help her pack. I said yes. I even folded her yoga clothes for her while she scrolled TikTok. What she didn't know was that I had already opened a separate checking account 2 days earlier and rerouted my direct deposit. I hadn't touched our joint account since. That Friday, after she left, I took a personal day. I went to a locksmith, changed the front and back door locks, reprogrammed the garage opener, and updated the smart home app with a new password. I didn't tell her. Not yet. That weekend, I went through the house like a forensic analyst. I scanned drawers, copied receipts, found her hidden notebook filled with manifestation quotes, and actual notes about splitting assets and custody of the dog. She didn't even want him. He just made her look responsible on Instagram. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. Buried deep in the guest room closet, behind a pile of storage bins we hadn't touched in years, I found a black shoebox. Inside, there were envelopes. Some already opened, some not. All from a name I recognized immediately, Jalen Carver. Mallory's ex. The one she said she hadn't spoken to in over a decade. The immature phase, the one who never grew up. Except, apparently, he had. Because one envelope included a copy of a job offer letter for a marketing role in Austin, with a start date in 2 weeks, and a sticky note attached in her handwriting. Let's do this. Don't back out this time. She wasn't just cheating. She was relocating. And I was supposed to wake up one day soon, jobless, cashless, and alone in an empty house with the dog and her credit card bills. That's when I stopped playing defense. Because she thought she was 2 moves ahead. But she didn't know I had one last card to play. The prenup. And she'd forgotten one crucial clause. She always said she only signed the prenup because she thought I'd never have the guts to enforce it. Back then, I was the guy who apologized first, who offered back rubs after arguments, who cried during Pixar movies and believed in working through things. So when we were engaged and my uncle's lawyer strongly advised me to protect my modest inheritance, she rolled her eyes, and called it insulting. But she signed. She said, "Whatever makes your paranoid little heart feel better." And now, a decade later, I was holding the only document that could ruin every escape plan she'd built. There was a clause buried near the end, a mutual financial fidelity condition. It basically said that if either spouse was caught redirecting joint assets or planning separation without disclosing intent, the other retained full control of shared property until resolution. It was written in dry legal language. She'd never read it. I remember because she was texting during the signing and asked, "Are we done yet?" So no, I hadn't forgotten. I had it scanned, bookmarked, and already forwarded to a family attorney I hadn't spoken to in years. She agreed to meet me Monday morning. Meanwhile, Mallory texted me selfies from the retreat. Mountains, crystal bowls, a group circle with incense. "I feel like a new woman," she wrote. I wanted to reply, "You're about to," but I held it in. What she didn't know was that I had already frozen our joint accounts temporarily, citing suspicious withdrawals. I had flagged the PayPal charges and submitted a fraud concern. I reported my name removed from 2 shared subscriptions, one she clearly updated for her new start. I had already locked our credit reports. And then, I did one more thing. I logged into our shared cloud storage account and deleted the hidden folder entirely. Not because I wanted to protect her, but because I'd already downloaded it. And I had something better planned than confrontation. I wrote a letter. Not a message. Not an angry email. A handwritten, dated, signed letter that I placed inside the very same black shoebox she'd hidden in the closet. I didn't threaten her. I didn't insult her. I simply said this: "I know everything. You've mistaken my silence for weakness. This home, this account, this plan, none of it will go the way you think. I'm not your husband anymore. I'm your consequence." And I sealed the box again. By the time she came home, smiling like a woman reborn, the house looked exactly as she'd left it. Except one tiny thing. Her key didn't work anymore. I'll never forget the way her smile dropped. She pulled into the driveway right on schedule, Sunday evening, just as the sun dipped behind the fence. She got out of the car with a yoga mat over her shoulder and a tote bag full of crystals or oils or whatever she thought would cleanse the shame off her. She was humming. That's what made it worse. She hummed a song I once played for her in the car during our first road trip. The irony punched me in the chest. She stepped onto the porch, turned her key in the lock, and nothing. A quiet click. No entry. She frowned, tried again. Then again. I watched from the upstairs window like a ghost. I could see her face shift through confusion, annoyance, and finally, panic. I didn't answer when she rang the doorbell. I didn't respond when she called my phone. She left 6 voicemails in a row, the first 3 fake calm, the next 2 sharp, and the last one barely concealing the edge in her voice. Then came the text. "Rowan, what the hell is going on?" I waited 15 minutes before replying. "Check the shoebox." 3 words. That's all. She didn't text back. I imagined her tearing through the closet, dumping bins, pulling down boxes until she found it. The moment she read my letter, I knew she'd understand. Not everything, but enough to know this wasn't the same man she left behind 4 days ago. An hour later, she called again. This time I answered. "You're overreacting," she said. "You're being cruel." Cruel? She was calling me cruel? The woman who told another man I was boring. Who made plans to drain our accounts, relocate, and disappear. Who called our marriage a prison and treated me like her personal bank account in a butler's uniform. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I said, "You've got 24 hours to explain it all." Not to me, to my attorney. After that, the prenup kicks in and you get exactly what you planned for. Nothing. She didn't speak for a full 10 seconds. Then she tried crying. "You don't mean this. We can fix it." I was just confused. "No," I said. "You were dishonest. That's different." And then I hung up. That night, I slept like a man who'd finally stopped begging to be respected. She showed up at my office. In person. Hair curled, makeup flawless, dressed like it was date night. As if everything would just rewind. As if she could charm her way back into the version of me who once apologized for not seasoning the potatoes enough. She walked in like she had an appointment. My coworkers turned and stared. Nobody knew what was happening yet. She smiled at me like she hadn't tried to ghost me from my own life. "Rowan, can we talk? Just 5 minutes?" I stood. Slowly. I looked her in the eyes and said, "We can talk tomorrow. My lawyer will be there too." Her smile didn't even crack at first, but her eyes did. She blinked too fast. The shift was subtle, but I saw it. Everyone around us saw it too. Because in that moment, the woman who thought she had me cornered suddenly realized she was on stage, and she didn't know her lines anymore. Later that night, I posted a simple status on Facebook. Not dramatic, not petty, just the truth. Sometimes love means protecting someone. Other times it means protecting yourself from them. Thank you to those who warned me when I wouldn't listen. I'm finally listening now. I didn't tag her. I didn't name names. But everyone knew. The silence after I hit post lasted exactly 7 minutes before the first message came in. Then 10 more. Friends, her coworkers, even her cousin. Apparently, people had seen things, heard things, but no one wanted to be the one to tell me. Now they were telling everything. Screenshots, DMs, photos from that wellness retreat that turned out to be a couple's resort. Her and Cody smiling at a vineyard, drinking wine under the caption, "New Beginnings." She must have blocked me from her stories. But others saw, and they sent it all. By midnight, I had enough to destroy her in court. But I didn't post it. I didn't reply. I just collected. Like evidence for a museum exhibit she didn't know she was starring in. The next day, she messaged me. "Please stop. Everyone's turning against me." I didn't answer. She thought silence made me weak. Now she was learning what silence really sounds like when it's hers. She didn't take it to court. Not in the end. I think she realized the moment she saw my folder labeled evidence at the attorney's office. I watched her fingers tremble slightly as she flipped through the printed screenshots, statements, the letter she never answered, and one final item. The original prenup, signed in her handwriting, dated, notarized. It was over before it even began. She walked out without saying a word. A week later, her things were gone. The apartment was quiet, too quiet at first. The kind of silence that wraps around you and makes you question every decision you ever made. I won't lie and say I didn't cry. I did. Not because I wanted her back, but because grief doesn't always come from missing someone. Sometimes it comes from realizing how long you stayed small to keep someone else comfortable. But then, something strange happened. Peace. No more fake excuses. No more pretending. No more retreats and hotel receipts and cold glances across the dinner table. Just silence, stillness, and slowly space. I took back my mornings. I got up early and walked the dog through the neighborhood trails she always said were too cold. I made coffee and let it go cold because I was lost in a book. I reconnected with old friends, real ones, who told me they were glad I was finally out of it. I went to therapy, even though I was scared it would confirm everything was my fault. Instead, I learned how much of myself I had buried just to keep a dead marriage alive. And then one day, I saw her, at a grocery store, alone. She looked thinner, somehow smaller, like the weight of pretending had finally collapsed on her. She saw me too, gave a half wave, and started to speak. But I just nodded, smiled politely, and walked away. Not out of cruelty, out of clarity. She had been right about one thing. I was dependable. I did cook. I did clean. I did stay loyal. But what she never understood was that consistency is not weakness. Boredom is not the same as stability. And love isn't a performance you give until someone more exciting shows up. In the end, she lost the man who would have given her everything. And I found someone better. Me.